Todd, what's up, brother? You there?
Yeah, truth is, y'all.
How you doing?
All right, what's going on, everybody? I've been peeping in and out. I've just been busy. But okay, I'm just listening because all of this is coming back up because of, karma.
Karma cannot be avoided. For most people, karmic energy is returned with the same intensity with which it was generated, depending on your previous actions. This could create happiness or suffering. Whatever happens is a result of karma being released, which, no matter how you view the situation, is a good thing and an opportunity for future growth, in most cases.
Fuck them, they to me it's karma.
And the fact that look how quick it was. It didn't take that long. She did this to y'all what, about 4 months ago?
Yeah. No. Or was it? Is it 4 months ago?
Him and V Bennett go on they little love making through the screen by talking about how much they're the victims and everything.
Okay. Yeah, and now it's happening, and our onlookers who've been keeping up with this, just log it in that it's justice time. And what you're seeing is not a repetition like this is in the Matrix, and you just seeing something loop without consequences. It has consequences, and this is just verbal because she allowed something verbally to take place, visually, audibly. She's getting the same thing, but it's gonna be worse because she's continuously trying to get into a lane that we obviously know that she doesn't have enough, and I'm being respectful. She doesn't have enough, experience to be trying to take on all these different battles and trying to expose and this and that, or even being manipulated from behind the scenes. Well, because I could see she's not a good judge of character because first it was Chris. And then I just kept listening, and now she's saying the same thing. Oh, he's not a good friend. It's like, oh, Sarneto's not a good friend. So whatever that's working with her mentally and spiritually and psychologically, and it's causing her to keep getting trapped up in these same little loops. That's causing her to become not only manipulated and used, she's also getting embarrassed on a public forum, and she doesn't seem to realize she needs to stay away. This is not your lane. That's why I said this a couple of weeks ago.
Fucking changed my character and made me look like something that I ain't. I got trapped up in that shit to a point that it was obsessed. I really see it now. At first I thought it was like, nah, fuck that, I'm not obsessed. I'm just not gonna let these people talk about me. I'm not gonna let them. But then I realized that how can I sit up here and teach and preach to y'all to let your ego die, death to the ego, when I clearly realized that it was my ego driving me to keep fighting against them motherfuckers. That was my ego. I thought it was my warrior spirit. That wasn't, no, it was my fucking ego. And I see it now. I can't teach and preach to y'all to tell y'all to let that shit die when I can't even control my emotions. When niggas and females that's below my level, miserable people below my level, bringing me down to the level, and I'm telling y'all to die, kill y'all ego, and I'm not even showing self-control.
Grenadier.
that if you really an advocate and you was, you know, harmed by another human being sexually, your advocacy should be in that, and you should have mentors, because this is the problem too. You know, people can just jump on the internet and just run out there and just create more problems. Saying, I give a good example, like with hip hop. Back in the hip hop days, especially when New York started, at a certain point, a lot of those rappers in the 80s, they went to some type of school of arts to learn how to talk and frame sentences and all that stuff like that. I think MC Light, Big Daddy Kane, it's a few of them that between the teeth of them.
Yeah, and even so, a lot of these guys were writing poetry, writing rhymes and books long before they even got on a tape. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you look at the structure, how hip hop, I'm just speaking about the writing and the delivery and the topics. So when you jump to like in the 90s, when rappers were able to just go from drug dealing and just going and paying for somebody, or they could just get equipment like it was nothing, and they didn't have no skill. Like if you look at like Master P beginning, you can see his vocabulary was horrible. Silk the Shocker, horrible. You understand? So the only one who really could put words together I like was Mystical. I can't think of the other guy. Mia X, she was cool, but Mystical was like one of the few that had a long range and knew how to do what they had to do. So look at it now. You look at what his name? Young Boy, rest of it, you know, like he got a song with 38 damn. I couldn't understand nothing he was saying. And they call that mumble rap, and it's like you got the last 5-6 years was disgusting because of, you know, they're ignorant and they're going from dropping out of school and they going right into a studio and then they can record a bunch of music that's garbage. So anyway,
right, I hear you.
Go ahead.
No, I hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so when you look at it from that standpoint, for those of us who are old enough to remember, or just people who research that type of stuff, you can just pull up the lyrics. You ain't even got to pull up the music. Just pull up an artist from the 80s and then pull up an artist from now, lyrics, and just read, look at the way the lyrics are written and the sentences are put together. And if you know somebody that's a grammar teacher and take it to a person that deals with grammar and English languages and how they speak, they're gonna say the ones up to date. They're gonna say, what is this?
Yeah.
You understand? Because and remember, taking that in your brain for years makes you just as stupid. All right, so when you jump back to this, I heard her say another thing about, she mentioned the Most High.
It shouldn't even be called art.
Right. Now right, so she was talking and going on her little rant, and she mentioned the Most High. Again, this don't make no sense either, because when I went over to her channel, and we was over there for a couple of hours, and she had a guy over there that experienced something with religion. I don't know if it was demonic possession. It was something he was telling his story. And we and him was talking. I was giving him a few corners from noon, and you know, a lot of it, she ended up kind of like going back and forth, kind of challenging me on spirituality and stuff like that. But she basically don't really believe in religion. She says the same thing she's saying was going on with Sarnetta them, and why she had to get away from that. She said religion did a number on her mentality. So it shows me that somewhere in her mind there's a weakness when it comes to negative people, and it ain't religion per se, even though religion is a spell as a component, but most of the time people get manipulated by religion because of a person. So whoever she was listening to was running some type of, you know, psyop on her mind where she just didn't know what to believe. So she basically told me she didn't believe in a God. So for her to sit here and say the Most High in the last couple of joints you played,
like something Sarnetta would say.
Right. So she said, could Sarnetta do the same thing? He don't believe in nothing, but he'll use the Most High when it's convenient She say the Most High or the universe. It's like, nah, it ain't no such thing. You can't say. And she says she got her own philosophy. You can't create your own philosophy.
But I really think the Most High above, I swear, thank you, Father, thank you, Mother, thank you, Creator, thank you, ancestors.
Because whatever you're doing is going to be composed of something that you already believe from a child or stuff you picked up along the line. But when you say terms like the Most High, you right in religion. Because we wouldn't know about no Most High term if it wasn't for religion.
Exactly.
So if you say the universe, now you're going to either some new age stuff, or you understand, because the universe and noon is a being. But when regular people say the universe, that's another name they use. Instead of saying the Most High, they say the universe. So it's still religiously inclined. So it's like she don't realize she's actually coming apart, and she's showing herself not to be trustworthy, or she's sticking to her words. Like she said,
erratic. It sounds right. A bit erratic.
So she said, what was that? What, 2-3 weeks ago, when she gave this whole thing on her show panel, that again she doing the same thing as Sarnetta. She said her family seen the stuff that Franklin was doing, and they told her to leave it alone before it get out of hand, where they would have to come in, or they would have to do some legal stuff or whatever. And she did all this stuff about she was in her ego, that was her lower self. She's gonna take the high road. She's gonna leave it alone.
That was my ego. I thought it was my warrior spirit. That wasn't, no, it was my fucking ego. I'm not even showing self-control.
Here we go. She's back, and she had to backtrack. And she don't see the same way Frankie didn't see that. When you do that, when you say, see, that's what I'm saying. They all have been programmed to say the trigger terms and phrases that whenever they want to backtrack, to jump back in the game after you said you retired. Like Master P, he said he retired.
Grenadier.
And came back. Jay-Z said he retired some years ago, then he came back, and basically it's a lie. Whatever justification, it don't matter if Frank and them and everybody on his panel came at her and started dissing her. It's the same thing that Tahaka did. He justified bad behavior. That's what they don't understand. And when you play around with people like Frank and them, not understanding how this goes, you end up becoming in the image and likeness of the same individuals. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm just from the outside looking in, and I'm just saying that right now she's been a whole hypocrite, and she's been hypocrite ever since she did you and Shaka like that, and she still ain't seeing that now it happened to you. This is like Andrea was saying, this is an opportunity to fix some things. But she's not gonna do it because she's in her ego. She's prideful. Like she said, she got caught out there doing wrong, and she's a Leo, so some of the traits of Leos, they just do this. They'll go and they'll take it to the grave before they let intelligence. Sometimes they got logic over heart. And it's interesting, she said emotional intelligence, but emotional intelligence and also having, in your heart, if you're compassionate, you're supposed to be able to, oh, I'm wrong, I wronged someone. But evidently, this doesn't carry on into what she does wrong to other people. Only when it's her, right? And she feels wrong. And then the crazy thing, like y'all said, the guy didn't talk down on her. He just was talking to Frankie, but she had enough, intelligence and emotional intelligence to realize, oh, this is not right. You understand? So, that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yeah, but you got an excellent breakdown, bro. I agree with that. She's She's not being consistent. I mean, you mentioned the Most High, but I thought you didn't believe in religion.
Right.
So it's like, what is it with the Most High all of a sudden? And it seems like she's trying to find a justification for what she's doing. An explanation right there in front of us. And then she's going to do it. You know, we're about to see her do whatever she's trying to explain. You know, she's explaining, essentially. But what's different is that she seems troubled, like emotionally troubled herself. And
decades and decades of wounds, buried in secrets and shame, never to be acknowledged or healed. Let's talk about healing, because we've only been accustomed to dealing with everything that life has thrown our way. I mean, that's just how it goes, right? It is what it is. Boy, I tell you, the black woman, she can just take it and keep on going, and she bends to nothing, because she knows whatever don't kill her will only make her stronger. And she's developed quite the sense of humor too, laughing at things that aren't funny at all as a coping mechanism to cover up this trauma. She laughs, and if she didn't laugh, she surely would have cried. You do know you can cry, right? Did you know you were allowed to feel every bit of that real pain? Every one of us have had justified reasons to cry, and we just sucked it up and kept going, carrying it every step of the way. Some of this pain has been passed down to us as normalized and accepted conditions of society. We learned from observing these brave women many of our own survival and coping mechanisms. We've learned the infamous black woman survival strategy: to be tough, to suck it up, and to fight hard to bury that pain. But did you know you were allowed to heal? Did you know you were allowed to feel? These women's strength in...
Like you said, this emotional, she's using words, it sounds like she doesn't know what it means. Emotional intelligence?
Because she's being influenced by Princella, who is, like I was telling my wife the other day, Princella, no disrespect to her, she's the updated version of Cynthia G.
That's just the bottom line.
So if you know about Cynthia G's history, Cynthia G was a man hater as well. And the whole thing is this: all of these people are unhealed, and they never got real healing. So when once you start going into healing, you have to really sit down with yourself and go within. But it's not just.
So what we've learned how to do is we've learned how to cope rather than to really deal with our stuff. And now we're seeing it perpetuated in our youth, because these are generations that have hid from healing.
But it's not just going within. You got to get certain stones for that. I got a couple of stones that deals with actually allowing you to dig deep in yourself. You need certain, stones.
So we have some black obsidian and some emerald green fluorite from China. This is definitely a strong pairing, but also I'm going to give it a cautionary recommendation. This is some shadow work energy right here. Talk about looking at the dark side of the moon. This is looking at the dark side of the self. If you want to get into the stuff that's really hidden, I recommend using these. You better be ready for what this brings to the surface, because it's not going to be nice, but it's going to be real. I think if you use this pairing in a very serious way, you would really understand some huge things about yourself, but you would have to be prepared to work through it and let things go and accept parts of yourself that might be uncomfortable, and then set your intention to try to change them. This is a very classic pairing in crystal healing. I've used it on clients to bring things up from underneath the surface, from the unconscious, and boy does it deliver. It will bring you the transformation you're looking for, and it will help you cut through illusion in a way you've never seen. So powerful, but intimidating.
That deal with your shadow and allow you to like go in, and you have to sit with yourself. You have to listen to all of the voices and pick them out one by one. Some people tell you, you know, if you got a voice and you just say you're never gonna be anything because this person did this to you. That could be the voice of a parent or whoever you grew up with. You have to take them voices, look at them, and realize these are just negative attributes of something that was planted within you in your subconscious, and you have to let that go. You know, recognize it, what it is. Some people say hug it, kiss it, forgive it, and let it go and let it evaporate. That takes time. And again, it depends on how advanced you are. I'm going through that, but it's a lot easier for me because I was dealing with spirituality for a long time ago. You know, I started, you know, dealing with spirituality like 1992. Moving forward, and it's a never ending thing. You know, it's like a person who used to be an addict and they stop being an addict, but they tell you that you still in that mode is still there. Once you did it, you know, like that, it's still there. So it's a constant change and checking yourself, checks and balance. So when I look at these individuals, again, same thing with Priscilla. It's obviously Priscilla didn't do no real healing because she's still angry. Look at her outside life is a reflection of your inside life. So if she's still mad on paper, that shows that she doesn't solve or deal with old issues. You're supposed to get a divorce. You understand? Because that's what comes with that. You know, then if you hanging around with pimps, right? A pimp is a person whose job is to abuse women. How can she be mad at regular men that she talks about and you saying your friends are pimps?
How long did they last?
Well, I was married. I got married in 2017. Me and my daughter's father co-parent. Prior to that, maybe I've had 3 or 4 relationships. My first relationship was a pretty solid relationship. And that was when my first boyfriend was at 19 years old. So I haven't been around the block in that terms, but to know men, it's not just about romantic relationships. It's about friendships. It's about working with them, you know. So when I was selling cars, first of all, I've been in the military for 8 years.
There you go. Thank you.
I sold cars for 3.5 years. I played basketball. I played street football. I did the whole 9 yards. So I have a wisdom on men that the average woman don't have. 2 of my friends were pimps.
Oh, man.
So, you know, I grew up a tomboy. So most of my friends have been male.
You understand? So there's another abusive scenario that you're in now, and then you saying you in a relationship with the same sex type of person. See, all these is because people, when you're hurt and harmed, they don't know how to go and be alone for a while. You have to learn to sit still with yourself and be peaceful. And once because you have to go into the noise and learn to realize, okay, this is just echoes. You know, these are echo chambers and they bouncing off the wall. Because a lot of times when we sit, it's real in a small room. You have to learn how to expand like space. That's how you learn to get that peace when you deal with all of these issues that are bouncing off the wall. And they just come because you don't know what to do.
To meditate, man.
Right. You have to do that.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have to. Yeah, that's what people got to do. You can't go to smoking weed. You can't go having sex with somebody else. You can't go hang with people and scared to go to sleep like this is Nightmare on Elm Street. You got to go to sleep. Take the pills, and I'm speaking metaphorically. Take the whatever it is, go in there, find Freddy Krueger. It's going to be about 5 to 10 in there, and it's going to take you some time to release it, because Freddy is also a person that was harmed, because if you watch the movie, he was beat by his father before he turned into a beast. So even that character was somebody that was harmed. And what you learn in studying the natal charts and my spirituality, you learn that everybody has a predestined trauma before you're born. So So the ascendant energy, 9 reason, switches out through a gas cataclysm. When this occurs, 6 reason takes over gradually and descendant energy becomes the dominant negative forces. When Zupu takes over, the reversal has set in. This is why the natal charts look opposite to how it was when ascendant reasoning were ruling. Look at the chart below. So here you can see that you got in the natal chart that they use today, they have the western half of the chart where the descendant is at on the right side, and the eastern side of the ascendant is on the left side. All right, remember, if you go back about, I think, Don't Carry Their Beef 7 and 8, I explain how, and even further, how they say how the ascendant is the positive side and the descendant is the negative side. Okay, descendant is the face and the mask that people wear, but your true self is in the descendant. So go back and watch some of those videos, Don't Carry Their Beef, at least 6 through 8, and you'll get a better equal standing if you haven't already. Notice the positive ascendant is on the so-called eastern horizon, while negative descendant side is on the so-called western horizon. More on this later. This is because Nupu and Zupu are complete opposites. Nupu is born on 6 east, while Zupu is born on 6 west. Since we are in the bottom half, everything is in reverse. Go back to the videos before these for more information. There's also a numeric connection as well. So you look at the word ascendant. Ascendant is 81, which is 9, 27, which is 9, 162, which is 9, and 54, which is 9. Nupu, when the H is silent, is 90, which is 9, 36, which is 9, 72, which is 9, and 18, which is 9. Okay? And when you go to 6 reason equals 78, 7 plus 8 equals 15, 1 plus 5 equals 6 ether.
This series is going to be exploring the meaning and the power behind the descendant in our birth chart. So now we're going to be exploring what it means to be the flip side of that. Your descendant rules your 7th house cusp, which is opposite your rising / ascendant sign. And it is my belief and the belief of most astrologers and people who study astrology that the descendant serves as your shadow sign. You have a lot of people that will argue that your shadow side and your shadow sign is opposite your sun sign. However, there's not an exact placement for that in the chart, whereas the descendant, the opposite of the rising ascendant sign, is an actual opposite placement, which is where the true shadow lies. Yes, there is something to be said about the opposite of your sun sign and attracting the opposite of your ego, because the ego is what's represented by the sun. But the descendant goes deeper than just being opposite the ego, which is more important to me. It gets down to more soul level and actual life experience stuff. Whereas the sun is actually a very superficial placement, in my opinion. It's a very superficial placement where the ascendant is the true self and the descendant is showing us what is opposite of our true self and the part of us that is more neglected and suppressed things, but we might identify with them in other people, because the 7th house rules over relationships and marriage and partnerships of any kind. This can be friendships as well, and it can be just bonds with people in general. So, you know, like I said, we'll see ourselves as our rising sign a lot of the time, but others may see us as the sign depicted by our descendant on that 7th house cusp. And so by attracting those people and bringing in those signs, the qualities of that sign, we are getting to know ourselves more deeply. Also driving ourselves crazy in the process, you know, but it's still very much this organic process that's happening so that we can accept ourselves better.
Descendant sign, 78. 7 plus 8 is 15. 1 plus 5 equals 6 ether. So again, this is why I was trying to tell you, this is in reverse. The descendant, for all intents and purposes, should be on this side, and the ascendant should be on this side. But again, the Zoop is opposite of the Noop. Now, when we look at this smack circle, it shows a 180 degrees opposition of the pigment guards, 180 degrees directly across from the human races. They died and was changed by the bottom half brain loop guards into humans, animals, and insects, etc. millions of years later. Refer to Creeple's video on the beat. Alright, so here you saw we're looking at this aspect of 180 degrees because each race was directly across from each one. All of our ancestors from the Hydra pigment, Geo pigment, Aero pigment, Pyro pigment, Zeo pigment, Eto pigment, Meto pigment, Neo pigment, the Vaco pigment race all came together and before they died procreated us sexually and then they died off. But eventually, as each other race came, that was them metamorphosizing. So we is a combination of all of them before they died. But when they died, the next race, the Geo-Pigment race, came back as the Phoenician race, which is 180 degrees. And what happened is, when they came back as the Phoenician race, that race, just like the rest of these races, came back as human races, started becoming in oppositions to us, because remember, we are the descendants. So we on the Ethiopian race is the descendant sign. These races over here became the ascendants, because as we fell further down, these other races started coming upon us. They started getting upon us. So we went from being number 1 to being number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, and we got down to the Caucasian race, very bottom. All right, at 720. All right. Listen to more reasonability. As Nupu rays extended the smash circle to its 9 north heights, that's when Zupu took over and started the descendant energy on the left, and we became the negative descendant signs as a race. The other races took our place over time and became the positive ascendant signs as opposing human races against us. This is why we are at the bottom. However, extended reason Nupu is here, and when the cataclysm pole shift of February 5th, 2025 occurs, the descendant energies will reverse and our race will ascend back to the original positive side of existence as our ancestors. Let this be known. To admit the cosmic peace in wartime. So it can turn you into the worst person of your life or the best person. Everybody is traumatized somewhere in their life. It might not be the same. It might be you come home and your favorite bird was killed. You know what I'm saying? Or your mother made a mistake and killed your little fish, and that is enough to take people and turn them into a murderer and a killer, because how traumatized that incident was already made. That's all I'm saying. People just gotta learn to hear.
They start looking at it like it's just them that's been hurt.
Right. And that means right. And so when it's lack of knowledge,
that's their justification to go
there
out.
You go.
Yeah, you on fire, Tar. You on fire, bro.
You know, so that's what I want everybody to remember. No matter what we see in the world, these people been traumatized and they hurting and they don't know how to fix it. And I keep hearing her say the word hatred. She's really not using the word in its proper context, because if you can hate somebody who really didn't do anything to you, that means you're still your inner child. See, our inner child, you can do something to a small degree,
it could be
and they can really
right. It could just be incidental. You're gonna put that much into it, something that's maybe could just be not intended even. I mean, it doesn't even sound like the guy was intending on hurting Neo. Like, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't intending on hurting her. He was up to something else, it sounds like, and she's like, oh man.
But that's how nature does. Nature will use other individuals to return back what you did to somebody else. And it's obviously she didn't see it, and she didn't learn from what she did to y'all. That right there is a vindicator for you and Shaka, and it's in color and live on the internet because she did it to y'all. But even still, it wasn't as brutal as what happened to you and Shaka. But guess what? It's gonna get worse for her because she's being an imitator, because the same people she's disliking, she's actually pulling from our playbook and trying to jump in something. Like Frank is an old experienced serpent, and when you people like us who know how to deal with that, that means you learn. You have to learn how to deal with snakes. This is something you can't just run out here and think, okay, I'm gonna do a couple of clips and that's gonna take him out the game. That's not how it works, because he's embedded into the community, the virtual community, and they got a bunch of people who go to bat for him because they want to be like him or they want to take his spot. And he knows that as well. He knows what we're saying. We really stand for the truth and the facts, and we telling him this is wrong. He knows we don't have no agenda except for him to pay for what he's done. Right. With the other ones, he knows that the other guys want to take his spot. And I used to go through that with York followers. They used to claim that we wanted to be like, you just want to be like him. I said, ask them, who wants to be a pedophile? Right. I said, y'all don't make no sense. Like, in their mind, they really believe that somebody wants to take somebody else's place when we are identifying that this person was horrible. If I'm identifying what he did was wrong, why would I want to be him? Yep. But you got hundreds of people like that, thousands and thousands. And I'm just saying about...
The message resonates with them because that's what they would do.
Right. They want to be like that person. Right. It's projecting. This is what we're seeing. She hasn't learned. She thinks she's more than an advocate for child abuse and stuff. She wants to be all of these things. You can't. Number one, you have to understand that this is something that you grow into. You can't, it's not a wave, it's not the ocean. You just ride a wave and you think I'm gonna ride a wave that's gonna take me over Queens, Thrones, Tar, DB, Shaka, Andrea, all these other people who ain't even speaking as us, but they got as just much as history. They've been watching longer than these people been online, and they think that they gonna jump the whole line and then rewrite history and disrespect the people who's been here and then continue. But that's the delusion. So I'm looking at that and I'm seeing that's exactly what it is. And it's funny that she got that lion in the back of her disrespecting Nepal, but that's her. She's up there with her. All of them was fake in the Wizard of Oz. The internet is the Wizard of Oz, and they don't realize that. It's no yellow brick road. It's millions and millions of roads, and all these people are putting on costumes, but they showing their real face. That's all it is, and that's all I'm saying. It's sad that that they're doing this to each other. Like I said, she keep using the word hatred. She's stuck in a time loop. It's something about Frankie and a certain other individuals that's triggering her, whether she was a child or later on, and she needs to go and heal. That's my message to everybody. Please go do some research on meditation, stones that deal with shadow work, and stones that help keep you perpetuating the healing after you do the shadow work. Yeah, what happened is when people go through things, we just learn how to suppress it, bury it, and we move forward. Also, it's a spiritual component. Every human being is assigned a spirit to them in order for us to be controlled by Almighty Nature in general. So we just extension of nerves. But the thing is this: the spirit thrives off of your pain. So what it does is it'll cause you to go forward and look at other people. So what you do is you look around on the internet, you got a lot of people running around pointing their fingers at everybody else, and they didn't do no healing on their own. So the spirit is getting over by causing them to not look at what it helped them do. And what it does is it forces them to run out there with a bunch of other people who were hurt and harmed by other folks. Look at Frankie. Frankie got a long history of people that he said he helped and they turned on him, and because he never healed and never learned how to leave the abuse alone, he keeps reliving the abuse too. And this is what we're seeing. So all these people are hurt. That's why you got the term hurt people, because they never learned, because we was never taught. We was just, you know, oh, shut up when you was young, or however your parent or auntie or whoever you grew up with, they never learned either. That's why they say a lot of us, when we got out of slavery, we never got no therapy for that. So we just kept moving. But it goes into your genes. They call it epigenetics is what the scientists call it. And that stuff has got things in it where it triggers certain things in you, whether it's food, trauma, whatever, and it can cause certain genes to activate, some to not, stuff like that. So you can pass trauma down through the genetics as well as the mind, and people just live that stuff out until someone in that particular bloodline stops it and says, okay, I can't keep doing this. And that's why I say she needs to go and heal and stop trying to be a self-taught and self-appointed leader. Because if a person who's been traumatized in the way she has, if they was looking at her and they seeing her saying, I'm an advocate and y'all need to listen to me, those people who got enough sense won't listen to her. Because if she was going to a class after this and they was looking at her on internet and her standing in the class, they will say this woman needs a hug. She needs to sit down and listen to the same stuff we need to be following. She is not healed. She is not healed. She is not healed. And because of that, is like you said, Andrea, is she's repeating the loop because she never dealt with the original pain, and she didn't get a chance to get at the guy she said that tried to assault her the last time or did assault her, but whatever the case, it's too late for the police to do anything. That's even worse too when you're older and something happens and then they tell you, oh, where's the time limit on you know, sexual assault, it expired 5 years ago, so sorry about that, so then you got to live with that, knowing that you got a system in place that doesn't protect individuals either in an older age. So that's you have to come to a remedy with that. It's like us being who we are, right? We all have lost somebody we cared about, and we had to have enough mental clarity to say and accept it. When somebody dies that you loved a lot, that you felt was too early or was too gruesome, in order for you to not get trapped in that same thing, you had to what? Accept it, love that person, and let them go, because you was being trapped. You ain't holding them hostage, they gone. You holding yourself hostage wrapped up in that person's image and likeness, and that hurt. That's a serious anchor to let go of. That is really hard. And so I'm speaking from apathy and compassion and empathy for all of them, for her, for Frankie, Nepal, all of them, because I know that they all been abused and done a certain kind of way, and that they have not healed, and their negative part of themselves is manipulating them to do that. You understand? This is the sad part about it. They need to take time away, shut down the internet, and go and heal and take it upon themselves to do the healing. Because you don't need a bunch of money to go to wherever else to pay. You can do this on your own. But they need to go and heal. Seriously, but they're gonna keep going until they hit that brick wall. And eventually somebody will, hear the stuff we're saying and say, man, I hope that, that they get the help that they need, because only you can, you have to first, what they say in AAA, the first step in dealing with addiction and all that is admitting. You got to first admit, and I'm telling you, I keep a stone on me every day. I got either tourmaline or I got a couple of crystals, but the ones I had one on the dealing with healing. The other, I got big fat crystals that I wear around I just ain't been wearing them on y'all show, but I got some fat fat rocks that I wear on a special made, glass, African glass that I use to put them on. That I got a friend that makes them. So we got to stay in the constant healing.
Oh, do they got a website?
Let me see. Hold on, Didi. Bring me my please. Bring me my wallet real quick, please.
Fucking change my character and make me look like something that I ain't. I got trapped up in that shit to a point that it was obsessed. I really see it now. At first I thought it was like, nah, fuck that, I'm not obsessed. I'm just not gonna let these people talk about me. I'm not gonna let them. But then I realized that how can I sit up here and teach and preach to y'all to let your ego die, death to the ego, when I clearly realized that it was my ego driving me to keep fighting against the motherfuckers. That was my ego. I thought it was my warrior spirit. That wasn't, no, it was my fucking ego. And I see it now. I can't teach and preach to y'all to tell y'all to let that shit die when I can't even control my emotions. When niggas and females that's below my level, miserable people below my level, bringing me down to the level, and I'm telling y'all to die, kill y'all ego, and I'm not even showing self-control.